Yes, 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 yes.
The Department of Consumer Affairs has presented an event with the theme Virtual Hearings and Digital Access to Consumer Justice. So, one of the things that the department is pushing quite vehemently is online hearing and ensuring that consumers participate from the comfort of their homes or wherever they are on online hearings.
It's still a wrong way.
That's still a long way, but they made a beginning, and I think over Tamil Nadu, I think most courts have been connected. That is there has to be some sort of a coordination between the central and state governments for much of this to happen. In places where it happens, then the person who gains by that is the consumer. Unfortunately, if it doesn't happen, then the person who loses is the consumer. Next. So few mobile applications have been launched, which is the Jabo Grahak Jabo app. This Grahak Jabo app is supposed to help a consumer identify dark patterns. This is the AI. If you download this app, if you go into a particular website, it will give you a warning as to whether that particular URL is indulging in dark patterns. So that is a very useful app, which is again a new initiative which is being done by the government. Another application launched by the National Legal Metrology is eMap, which enhances transparency, efficiency, and accountability in governance and operation. If you go through the Jabo app and identify, and it shows, it is able to identify on the basis of its reach for URLs. It's a resource locator, it's a unified resource locator, is what a URL is. So if you have a particular website, it will have its identity. Every website has an identity. So this app helps you. They have done somewhere in the world, somebody is sitting and doing all this. It is identifying people, it is identifying websites which have dark patterns. So this app, if you download it, and if you are going to purchase a particular product, it will help you to understand whether that website is a safe website or a website which has dark patterns. And if you identify one, it is also useful for the consumer to tell the consumer helpline. There is a consumer helpline. Many of the actions that have been initiated by CCPA are on the basis of information that it has received through consumer helpline. So there is a huge utility, and these are, as I said, developing resources to empower consumer protection. The department has revamped its National Consumer Helpline Portal, incorporating advanced features and thereby offering enhanced functionality, improved navigation, and faster grievance resolution through AI-enabled NCH 2.0, which was also launched on the occasion of the National Consumer Day in December 2020. This again is a new initiative. So these are the new initiatives in consumer protection, which will hugely boost the powers of the consumer court itself, because then you can tell the consumer to go there and get that information, because information is king. So for the consumer to get that information, it is now possible for him to get that information and present it to him. Yes. Now, in the area of food safety and electrical quality, two facilities were inaugurated. One is the organic food testing laboratory, was inaugurated at the National Test House, because today a lot of products advertise that they are organic, organically grown apple, organically grown tomato. How do you know it is organically grown? So there is a test house which will help you to determine whether it is organically grown. Guwahati and low voltage switch gear testing facility was inaugurated at the National Test House at Mumbai. Further, for better consumer understanding and compliance, an updated e-book was launched on packaged commodity foods, providing comprehensive guidelines. To ensure the accuracy, reliability, and global compliance of weighing and measuring instruments, the Department of Consumer Affairs, in collaboration with the CDAC, is establishing software testing facilities at 6 regional reference standard laboratories. The software testing facilities for weighing and measuring instruments was also digitally launched at regional reference standard laboratory. embracing digital evolution. Now, smart standards. Smart is the abbreviation stands for Standards Machine Applicable, Readable, and Transferable. Is a joint program of ISO and IEC to drive digital evolution of international standards. The workshop was designed as technical sessions constituting various themes to address the need for demystifying smart standards. Also, let this come in the meantime. Proceed with my presentation. Also, all this technological integration has also helped to ensure higher disposal rates in consumer food. Last year alone, till last year rather, 28 lakhs 92,000 cases filed in all the consumer commissions, and out of them, 23 lakhs 45,558 cases have been disposed of, which is a very, very impressive record. Interestingly, on 30th June 2023, the Department of Consumer Affairs, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, launched what is called the Tomato Grand Challenge. This Tomato Grand Challenge was won by two teams. The team from Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies for developing a biopesticide aimed at one of the biggest problems with regard to growth of tomatoes is it is infected by a virus called foliar pathogens. So this competition helped to bring to fore the existence of a particular technological device which will help to reduce this foliar pathogens in tomato. Interestingly, the developed team has also developed a zero energy cooling mobile unit, a sustainable energy free solution that preserves tomatoes, reduces post-harvest losses, and extends shelf life using evaporative cooling principle, so relying on electricity by resources. So today the greatest challenge of any farmer is after the harvest how to preserve a food item. Because there is a fine balance. If today he is able to produce food, now that food has to reach the market in 24 hours. If within that 24 hours the food item goes bad, then there is no market for that product. So food preservation is the greatest challenge in the country. But what is hampering food preservation? The availability of electricity in the rural areas. And you need high voltage electricity to operate containers, cold storage units, which will preserve food and allow the farmer to release it in the market at the time when the price is favorable to it. I mean, they cannot do hoarding of goods, but they can definitely preserve food items till they reach the market. Because all this once again has a huge impact on how elections are won or lost. I happened to read an article which said that the reason for one of the main parties failing in Maharashtra in 13 constituencies was because tomato price could not be properly regulated. These are tomato market, farmers in 13 constituencies in Lok Sabha in Maharashtra, and the Maxim very interestingly projected how it was essential for the government to protect the interest of the tomato farmers. Tomato and onion, they can help you to win or lose elections. We are sitting here talking about so many other things. Those are not the reasons at all. At the rural level, it is a good price that a tomato or an onion will fetch, which is decided whether a party will get elected or not elected. So, keeping that in mind, the department has commended the this invention, which will help you to preserve tomato for a particular period of time. Then, connected to that is also the price stabilization fund, which was set up as an initial cost at rupees 500 crores, which is now vastly grown to check price volatility. Again, price volatility is a huge challenge to consumer protection, and therefore that is also now being addressed. Rules, regulations, and guidelines that have been recently notified, Central Consumer Protection Authority, now they understand that there is a need to improve the standards, working standards of all of you. So there is a Central Consumer Protection Authority recruitment, salary allowances, and other terms and conditions of service of officers and other employees of Central Authority Rules 2024. Consumer protection, salary allowances, and conditions of all of you, President and members of the State Commission and District Commission, Model Rules 2024, National Consumer Dispute Recruitment Amendment Rules. These are also being brought out to ensure that the quality, that the terms of service of those serving in consumer forum are also upgraded. Now, under the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act, there is also the facility of e-filing, as many of you would know, that has also been introduced. And again, as all of you would know, that under the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, a lot of the issues can be sent to mediation, and actually it's become necessary for you to send a case to mediation, because many times, in my experience as a lawyer, I find there is a problem about a litigant in the Indian legal field in understanding what exactly his problem is. So, a good mediator can help him understand what his own problem is, and then it is easier for you to suggest solutions which will satisfy you. There is a case which is much talked about in mediation circles. There were two people who were fighting for the produce of an orange farm, right? And it went into a legal battle. The legal battle went on for 2 to 3 years. The court referred it to mediation. So the mediator asked party A, why do you want this orange? And party A said that, I've set up a fantastic facility to make orange juice, and therefore I need this orange. Then the mediator asked party B, why do you need these oranges? He said, I have set up a fantastic facility to make marmalade from the orange skin. Therefore, I need these oranges. So both these demands could be met, isn't it? One party could be given the skin, and the other party could be given the pulp. He could make this orange factory, the other factory, the other person could make the jam factory. So many times these battles go on because both parties understanding exactly what they want out of that particular situation. A good mediator can help a party to understand what exactly he wants and to ensure that that is given to him. So that is again a very proactive step in saying that matters must be referred to mediation. Then there is a National Consumer Helpline, which is a single point of access to consumers across the country for grievance redressal at the pre-litigation stage. The advantage with this helpline is it operates at the local language level, which is very, very important because an ordinary consumer is not expected to know English. I don't think more than 10% of our population speak English. So they have a problem about communicating what their problem was. So the 17 languages, including I don't know how many of the consumer fora you can file a complaint in the local language. I think still it is in English that you have to get. So this National Consumer Helpline makes a huge difference because it's going to be in the local language and the consumer knows how to communicate this problem more effectively. The technological transformation of the National Helpline has significantly boosted its call handling capacity. The number of calls received by NCH has grown tenfold from 14,795 calls in January 2015 to 1,41,817 calls in January 2020. So, that number of complaints are finding a solution without the need to disturb all of you. So, the National Consumer Helpline is a huge boost. And the National Consumer Helpline also is a fantastic source for the government to pick up complaints relating to these dark patterns, etc. because that may be one solitary complaint. But behind that single solitary complaint would be a sordid tale of many being cheated. Right? So we still don't have the systems that US has. In the US, if somebody cheats another person of 50 rupees, nobody is going to pick up the energy, even if he finds that he has been cheated of 50 rupees, to actually go around and file a case and get any compensation. But in America, the way they encourage that is there are consumer groups which will go to court and they will fight this to ensure that all similarly affected consumers are given this redress, and the cost, the cost will run to millions of dollars, and the cost will go to a consumer. Actually, there is a provision in the Consumer Protection Act 2019 for that to be done. Unfortunately, there are not very many complaints being filed before you on these class actions. These class actions are very important to ensure that the stability in the market is maintained. And because anybody who is clever and wants to cheat and make money out of this will design a system in such a way that the impact on individual consumers is very small, because then nobody will think of going to court and challenging it, but still the profit to him is huge. Because to check that America has a system in place, which has also now been introduced into the 2019 Act, but unfortunately, as I said, that has not caught on. But unless we have systems like that in place, this is not going to improve the system. Legal metrology, online portal for services provided by the legal metrology, has again been revamped, technological inputs have been infused, and it is definitely a change. So why is that important? Our goods, what we produce, must have international acceptance. Today, Chinese products are able to dominate and are able to penetrate markets all over the world because they have ensured that as many products as possible are able to achieve international standards. So once these international standards are achieved, then it is possible for goods to be accepted worldwide. So it is very demeaning for Indian products to be rejected at the borders in various countries. To ensure that that does not happen, the government has stepped in a law in a very, very active way and has ensured that the measures, the weights and measures that we adopt are good enough for the products of our traders to be accepted all over the world, which in turn profits our own internal consumers. Time dissemination project. Precise time is essential for the country's strategic and non-strategic sectors. Considering the importance of dissemination of Indian Standard Time, the project has been undertaken by the Department of Consumer Affairs in association with the National Physical Laboratory and ISRO. The project aims to create technology and infrastructure to disseminate IST from 5 sites across India. The time ensembles are established at RSSL. The first phase will be completed in 31/3/2020. India has become the 13th country worldwide to issue OILL pattern approval certificates, marking a milestone in legal metrology. This again is to ensure that our products are accepted all over the world. Compliance of provision of country of origin for all goods, including on e-commerce platform. In the interest of consumers, all the importers are now required to declare country of origin for imported products, including e-commerce entities. Various notices have been issued to e-commerce entities for not complying with the provisions of rules of declaring mandatory information on digital platforms. The cases against the violators who have not compounded the offence are being filed in the court of law. The Consumer Welfare Fund is coming in a large way. 75% of the money comes from the central government. The other 25% is supposed to come from the state government. And this corpus is used to create awareness among consumers about their rights. Standards formulations in 2023, October 2024, 2,208 standards were formulated and 3,871 standards were reviewed. The total number of standards in force as on October is 22,774. All the information with regard to all these standards is also available on websites. Aligning the standards to the Sustainable Development Goals, the one related to climate change, related to climate change in particular. Many are now compliant of international standards so that we can claim to the world that we are reaching our sustainable development goals. Hallmarking with regard to gold and related products during the period from 1st of April 2024 to 25th November 2024, the number of hallmarking registration has grown from 1,87,000 to 1,95,155, while the number of BIS recognized assigned in hallmarking centers have increased from 1540 to 160. Indian women collectively, the gold which they have is reputed to be the biggest stock of gold anywhere in the world, right? But quality of gold, when they purchase gold, they must be clear that quality of gold is good. So to improve that, hallmarking facilities have been introduced, and the result is there for all of us to see. I just share the figures. Now, laboratories have been set up. There are 349 BIS recognized labs, which includes reputed R&D organizations, technical institutions, government labs, and labs in the private sector. Additionally, 285 government laboratories have been impaneled to support the need of testing in specialized areas. The services of such laboratories are utilized where it is economically not viable to develop testing facilities in BIS. So this is the new initiatives and achievement, modernization of BIS laboratories, integration of testing equipment with laboratory information management software, laboratory recognition scheme activities, skill development activities, support to other governments like the laboratories. Information technology services, complaints and enforcement portals have been developed. Is an operation for managing the complaints handling and enforcement related activities of BIS. The complaints portal is also integrated with National Consumer Complaint Portal to receive complaints registered through NCH. In the year 2025 till date, 3,206 complaints were received and registered on the complaint. So these are all the various initiatives which the government in the last 2 to 3 years have taken. I'm only talking about the central government. I'm sure many state governments have come forward with their own initiatives to improve consumer protection. So this helps the consumer, because when we started practice in 1986 before the consumer codes, when we complained that a product was defective, there was not even sufficient number of laboratories to help the product to be sent. It was entities operating in private sector which were offering these laboratory facilities, and the results were questionable. Many times, the other side would question. So, from 1986 till now, because as you know, the history of consumer protection, when the Consumer Protection Act, there's a lot of talk in the UN about consumer protection, and there was a treaty and convention on consumer protection. The late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was very excited about this, and it is to his credit that he enacted the Consumer Protection Act 1986. But even after the Act was enacted in 1986, there was not much of a awareness about what exactly this Act meant. So, Mr. Arun Shoury's father, the Mr. H.C. Shoury, who ran a organization, consumer protection organization in Delhi, decided to take the matter to the Supreme Court. And it's only after 3 years, and on account of the intervention of the Supreme Court, there were centers established. All the states were made parties in that petition, and the Supreme Court directed them to establish the consumer protection centers. Now, at that point of time, also people did not know what was a consumer complaint. What is a consumer dispute? What can I take to the consumer? So these are questions which were large in the mind of people. Why I am telling you this is I'm going to talk to you about a few recent interesting developments last year. My book, my article in the book, which is published and which will be released tomorrow, has all the case laws till 2024, because last year also I attended this and I addressed the members on the recent developments. So I am looking at a few important judgments for the last 10 to 11 years, the last 1 year. What I am trying to say is these judgments have the effect of bringing to the mind of the consumer that there is a way that he can go to a consumer court, and that is a channel for empowerment. Because I remember one of the first cases I did was the case relating to a gentleman called Subramaniam. Subramaniam had applied for a telephone connection. You know how telephone connections, how difficult it was to get telephone connections in those days. You will have to go to an MP, get some recommendation letter from them, and after 7 years, your application will be approved. Now, today, you make an application for a telephone, by the time you come home, the connection has been activated. Those days, getting a telephone connection was cause for celebration. So this Subramaniam was happy to receive a letter from the telephone department saying that he has been, his telephone connection is coming. So some workers from the telephone department came, they placed an instrument at his residence and said, we will be energizing this instrument shortly. Then they left. So he was then trying to get this equipment energized. He was writing to the department and saying that this charge came and kept one instrument on my table. But that instrument is not working. Will you kindly come and energize it? He kept on writing to them, but nothing happened. Then next month, he received a bill for 1,20,000 on a telephone which has not been energized. So he came to me and said, sir, I got a bill for 1,20,000 on a telephone which has not been energized. So I decided that we'll go to consumer court on. We had an excellent judge at that time. Justice Khatar was there. He was the chairman of the commission. And I took this matter to the commission. So what was surprising is that the telephone department should have just apologized and withdrawn that bill. But they went there and tried to say that that bill was right. So I sent a letter to them and asked them, please give me a call log. You would get a call log in those days. If you apply, they will give you the list of numbers you have dialed. I said, please give me a call log. So they took adjournment, subsequently they did not provide the call log. So this is Khatar lost his patience because he said, the 90 days I have to complete this complaint. I am going to complete it in the 90 days. And ultimately he passed an order asking them to pay me a fine, holding that 1,25,000 rupees bill is wrong, it need not be paid, and 50,000 rupees compensation should be made by the telephone department to my client. That became a sensational case, and that was practically reported in every newspaper in several parts of the country. On account of which, there are a lot of people who understood what a consumer court is and what you can approach a consumer court for. And if you see the period from 91 to 96 or 98, you had a lot of consumer judgments being reported. So these are tools of empowerment because a common man reads that and understands that there's a place to which I can go and complain if I'm going to be treated shabbily. So these judgments are important from that point of view. So some of the important judgments of 2024 is Indo Development versus Hemant Mandogra, in which unfortunately this is a claim that was filed after 28 years. And court said, even though we are liberal, consumer courts are a bit liberal with time, still 28 years is too long a period of time. And the consumer court was not right in granting relief after a period of 24 years of time. Bar Council of India, through its secretary versus D.K. Gandhi, is now become a well-known judgment because of the fact that it held that lawyers are not within the purview of the Consumer Protection Act. Now, this is a questionable judgment, unfortunately, at least according to me. I argued this position in 1996 when it came up before the Bar Council, and the Consumer Court. And Justice Khatar posted as a question, invited all the members of the bar to argue. And I was the president of the state bar commission, bar council there, bar association there. In spite of it, I argued that lawyers have to be included because there is nothing in the act. He agreed with me, which made me very unpopular, so I lost the next election. So, but the point is that that is the correct position in law. So I don't know on what basis the consumer court. It says a lot of very noble things about lawyers, which I'm sure is true. But that doesn't mean that they are outside the purview of the Act because they are rendering a service. And this business of contract of service or personal service is all absolutely inapplicable here. See, there a service creates a master servant relationship. I cannot take that dispute to the consumer. For example, I engage a person to clean my car every day, and that it's a service. I pay him for it. Suppose he does a shabby job. Can I take him to consumer court? I cannot because it's a master servant relationship. So master servant relationship. This is a contract of personal service, contract for personal service. The distinction is this that people can creates a master servant relationship which is outside the jurisdiction of the consumer. But the client who engages me is not, I'm not a servant. So for this to be excluded, so be very well within the jurisdiction of that. Anyway, that's not the law. But one thing I must say, in my experience in all these years, generally, especially the Madras High Court, now what has happened is there is a judgment of the Madras High Court which again does not meet the requirements of law because the requirement of law is that if you have to file a complaint against an advocate, you must send a letter to the bar council. The bar council will then refer it to a committee. The committee will go through the complaint and decide whether there is a prima facie case made out to issue a notice. It's only then the complaint.
Much like a doctor's case.
Yes. So it's only then the jurisdiction of the consumer court, the bar council comes. There's a Madras High Court judgment which was frustrated with the way that these complaints were being handled. So it said that every complaint you receive against any lawyer, issue a notice to him and initiate a process. Anyway, so now that is how it works. The point I'm trying to make is that in respect of lawyers, when complaints are filed, there is some action taken. You definitely know a notice goes, somebody is answerable. The same does not happen, unfortunately, in a medical council. The medical council, if you go and see, how many doctors have been debarred by the medical council? When in the conference of doctors, when I asked this question, the registrar said, it was very funny. He said that 6 people have been debarred. I said, on what grounds? He said, because they didn't have doctor's degree. Obviously, it was debarred. These people didn't have doctor's degree, but actually have doctors for nearly 15 to 20 years. I said, that is not the type of case we are looking at. Looking at cases of medical negligence, and people don't respond to your complaint. So, medical, that is why it is difficult to exclude doctors because this judgment itself said that VP Shankar case has to be reviewed. But fortunately, the larger bench said, no, we are not reviewing VP Shankar case. So, this is the problem. And chartered accountant, same problem. So, now what is the central government has now completely taken over issue of disciplinary action against chartered accountant. Their professional body has lost control. That doesn't happen as far as advocates are concerned. So, anyway, even if consumer courts don't have jurisdiction, bar councils are still quite effective as far as these are concerned. Then, Cozy Flex Mattresses Private Limited versus SBI, a general insurance company limited. This dealt with an interesting question as to whether a company can be a complainant before the consumer. So, after giving its various reasons, the court said under the Consumer Protection Act, a body corporate within the definition of person is a person entitled to file a complaint. So, person will include a complaint. And therefore, the company can be a complainant before a consumer. Then is the interesting case of Yashraj Films Private Limited versus Afreen Fatima Zaidi and others. Now, that was a case where this is not decided by the National Commission or the Supreme Court. The State Commission, there was a song in a trailer of a film. Somebody said that I watched that trailer and went to the film. But when I watched that film, that song is not there in the film. And therefore, consumer complaint. Oh. Misleading advertisement. So the court said that the trailer does not operate as an offer and acceptance. It's not like a tender. It is not like a bid. So there is no offer and acceptance when you watch a trailer and then go for a movie. Yes. So he said that there is, sorry, we can't help you. Now to be more careful when you look at trailers and dismiss that. So the ratio disadvantage of the case was a promotional trailer by itself is not an offer and neither intends to or can create a contractual relation. The other judgment that I am going to George 13 is a very interesting judgment because this is held by a district forum. The district forum noted that there was a significant deficit in the biscuit packet that was sold to the complainant. Britannia Nutri Choice Thin Arrow Root Biscuits, each claimed to weigh 300 grams. And when it was weighed, it was found to be only 260 grams. Now, this is one case which is coming before the consumer court, but there are innumerable cases. You buy a packet, chips packet, you go home only half of it will have chips. The other is empty space. So, like this, it is a very, very common complaint. Thankfully, one of them landed in the consumer court, and the court held, district consumer court in Thrissur held, directed Britannia Industries and the local bakery to pay 60,000 rupees as compensation for selling biscuit packets that weighed significantly less than the declared weight. Sriram Chips India Private Limited is the case where the company took the stand, the opposite party took a stand that the National Commission will have no jurisdiction to hear the matter because it was one that related to a commercial purpose. The court held it is the person who claims that a particular service is for a commercial purpose who has to prove that it was for a commercial purpose. And if you don't prove that, you can't take that claim. And it is on that basis the court said that we cannot entertain this defense. Omkar Realtors Private Limited versus Kushal Raj. That was once again it was with regard to the person who was claiming that it was not a consumer. All cases where somebody, the respondent, comes before the consumer court and claims that a person is not a consumer, the onus will be on him. Of course, now you have the procedure of admitting complaint. So possibly at that stage, the consumer forum itself can say that a particular claim is not a consumer complaint at all and can dismiss it. But still, there is a question mark as to whether you can do it without issuing notice to the other party and hearing it. For example, some matter which evidently the court has no jurisdiction. Is it necessary for you to issue notice to the other party, hear him, and then discuss the complaint? I don't think so. I think there is power vested in the consumer courts to issue a notice and to take action. The United India Insurance Company, the NCDRC, the court held that NCDRC fell into a clear error of law and fact in allowing the consumer complaint for multiple reasons, as this court has not agreed with the Supreme Court has not agreed with the preliminary objection of the appellant to reject the complaint and relegate the responsibilities to the civil court. This court made extra efforts to examine the facts in detail. It is for this reason that evidentiary value of the reports, their scope and ambit and the contents are examined in detail by the Supreme Court, and they passed an order with regard to the insurance. So these are some of the significant rulings by the National Commission, the Supreme Court, and some district forums on issues relating. But I think much of the confusion that we had when we started practice with regard to what was commercial purpose, what was not a commercial purpose, whether the insurance claims would be commercial purpose, whether medical claims against doctors were included within the purview of the Consumer Protection Act. These are raging issues. But all that has settled down. But ultimately, just because there is a complaint that you can file against doctors, it doesn't mean that every complaint filed against a doctor has to be allowed. Because, see, the thing is, many people confuse cure for treatment. Cure is not the same as treatment. You go to a doctor for a doctor to treat you. He doesn't cure you. There are possibly superior powers who are in charge of that department, but the doctor himself is only in charge of treating. So, if there is negligence, that he does something which no doctor would have done, or he fails to do something which any doctor would do, that is the simple test of negligence. But the medical council itself doesn't come, it's not very helpful in all these. For example, in the US, there is every specialty will have to formulate their own guidelines for every medical problem. There's a guidelines.com for every specialty. So if you are a gastroenterologist, for instance, and then there had to be a treatment, gastric problem, and you had to treat it. The steps are delineated. Step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, step 4, standard operation. So, in fact, a few of my reviews practice in the US, they say it's a very boring thing to practice medicine in the US because it's just a checklist which you have. If you don't, suppose you look at a patient, see, human bodies don't flow out of assembly lines. We are not an assembly line product. So, every human being is different. So, when something goes wrong, a medicine that agrees with 85% of the people for no reason at all will not agree with 50% of the people. No reason at all. That's because the physiology of each person is different. A doctor can recommend a medicine and encourage you to take that medicine only if he finds that you require that for your ailment. But he is not a guarantor of your cure. And for some reason, if your body doesn't agree with it, there's nothing that he can do. There are a lot of people, I have had clients coming to me and saying that we took him for treatment. While on the operating theatre, he suffered a huge heart attack and possibly anybody can have an heart attack at any point of time. Without any earlier indication, people can just fall. You see so many of the clips nowadays. Somebody is using the gym, he falls down and dies. Yes. So nobody can predict when the heart attack can actually happen. So these do not constitute medical negligence. And it's very difficult for a consumer court to find out whether there is a medical negligence involved in something like that. If you have the American system where there is a list of guidelines, and it's easier because then you can just need to see whether ABCD steps have been done. If ABCD steps have not been done, then obviously you have to be compensated. In fact, what happens is in America, how the system deals with it is if there is a medical negligence, every doctor is covered by a medical negligence insurance. And sometimes if you have already suffered an order, 1 order, 2 order, your insurance claim can skyrocket. In which case you stop practicing. You can't practice because your insurance claim is so high. The joke in America is it is these people who start writing books because they have no practice, they have nothing to do, they start writing books. So that is how the system works, and that's how we need to. So that's a destination which we should reach. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And, any questions I will have to answer.
Any questions?
My country. Yes.
Sir, my doubt is regarding CCPA. As far as CCPA has taken proactive steps regarding the misleading advertisement towards the education institution, in Andhra Pradesh, one of the big giants like Narayana Chaitanya is there. They are simply manipulating in each hall ticket number. This student is got first rank, second rank, third rank, like that. In newspaper itself, we have just seen the student photos, different photographs are pasted on one single hall ticket number. One of the day, my son is asked about this type of complaint. Where should we go and where should we can get the redressal instantly? And on that instant helpline, we can get through CCPA. One part of
You can use
just like NC Health individual consumer complaints we are registered and we'll get a timely some resolution like that. Regarding misleading advertisements, even for we are watching still the CCPA has given some judgments directed to Sensodyne paste like that. Still, some advertisements are telecasting in the TVs like that.
What with so many advertisements.
Yes, yes, sir.
You have to take steps and bring it to the attention of CCPA, CCPA will definitely take it.
So what sort of consumer helplines, sir? The consumer.
So National Consumer Helpline is available. You can, National Consumer Helpline works in tandem with CCPA. So where there is a complaint like what you are saying, which they receive, they then pass it on to the National Consumer the CCPA, and CCPA takes action. Even otherwise, you can also straight away write to CCPA and trigger the action mechanism.
Actually, the consumer affairs portal has opened.
Yes, yes.
Wherein you can discuss particular time frame, 2:30 to 4:30, they tend to have a webinar.
Correct.
and everything.
Digitally, they are very well connected.
But as to my knowledge, there is no one specific helpline number is there regarding CCPA. The start of complaints, sir.
Go to the consumer, ask the consumer helpline itself. Do you need any contacts in CCPA? Who should I contact? They will supply that number.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, through district collector, we have to approach CCPS. Through district collector, we have to approach.
They have a separate.
They have a separate
Yes, there is a particular vendor to do that, but you can do that. You can activate it.
Each district collector is empowered to take the matter to CCP. Thank you.
Sir, I'm from Delhi district, Tamil Nadu. We're just now talking about medical negligence. So there are contrasting positions on medical negligence. One aspect is you will have to rely on expert opinion to give you a judgment on medical negligence. The other aspect is the concept of Sipsa Laputa, or a thing speaks for itself. So if a commission president or a member has to decide on this issue, how do they decide?
See, it is an adversarial system, so it is not an inquisitorial system. In an inquisitorial system, you do an investigation to find out whether the consumer court at best is still an adversarial system. So the person who comes with the complaint will have to prove it. And there might be obvious cases like what you say, rapes or arbitrary. Rapes or arbitrary cases, things speaks for itself. Instead of operating on the right side, we operated on the left side. You don't need an expert for that. But more complicated cases of what is, the question is what stand, how would a reasonable doctor, reasonably qualified, reasonably proficient doctor treated the issue. Now that is a test which is on the basis of every case you will have to determine it. If the complainant is able to either produce records, books, authorities, textbooks, 4 or 5 textbooks which all say that this is a uniform procedure that has to be followed. No textbook prescribes the procedure which the doctor has followed. Then obviously it's a case of negligence. But if there is nothing, you don't have the help of textbooks, but you need very few doctors will actually come and give evidence against their own person. So that's going to be impossible. What you can try sometimes is we give interrogatories to the doctor. The court has said that consumer courts can permit interrogatories. So we frame a set of interrogatories, give it to an expert doctor, ask him to answer, and those answers will be. Some judges took a very proactive stand. For example, just a scholar whom I was talking about, he used to send it to the medical association, ask them to constitute a board, ask them to look at the records and come back with an opinion as to whether treatment taken was proper. But now, subsequently, Consumer Court, National Commission, and the Supreme Court have frowned on that practice. So that also you can't do. You have to now wait for them to read evidence and then decide on this.
Some cases, unfit commission appointed and they are going to regard the evidence. Based on this evidence, giving judgments. That's all.
Advocate commissioners can be appointed to take evidence. That's it. In fact, in all the medical negligence cases which I handle, along with the complaint, I used to file an application for the advocate commissioner to go to the hospital and take the records. Because if they tamper with the records, then I have no way of proving my case. So along with the complaint, I would file an application for the advocate commissioner to go to the hospital and take the records.
I have written an article on mental negligence case. Honorable sir told that same thing as mentioned that reasonably prudent man part 32 that can be taken into consideration. But in the absence of that, the restrictions are can be taken into consideration. That is, Honorable National Commission members are also given a training program stated same thing. Thank you very much.
Sometimes in medical negligence cases, like diseases like COVID-19, this trial and error for the doctor.
Yes.
So he has to, there are standard operating procedures instances, if the patient dies or something like that, we can't
No, no, it's
evaluate on
very,
the
some
site.
situations, extreme situations always pose a challenge. What can you do?
So it is the part of the complainant or the opposite party to prove negligence in the case of
Anybody
medical.
who comes to court, the onus of proving, very simple test, the onus of proving the positive of a fact is always on the person who asserts. First to date, evidence as my teacher put. The onus of proving I can never prove a negative. I can't put somebody in the box and ask him to prove you're not a fraud. How are you proving he's not a fraud?
But in
You have to
case of
prove it.
medical negligence, most of the time the complainant, they don't have all the medical records or the documents are not provided by the hospitals or they don't provide the surgery notes and all such things. So in such case, how is it?
That's what I'm saying, you therefore need to, having suffered what happened with the bad doctor, you shouldn't allow the same to suffer with the bad lawyer.
Yes.
You should go to a lawyer who will take up an application, get the records and ensure that they know there's no scope for fiddling with the records.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech. Now I request Mrs. Raj Satya ma'am, Assistant Professor, Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, who will take you to honor of resource person. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Mr. Vijay Kumar, member, DCDRC, Medak Allies, at Sangareddy, Telangana, to give vote of thanks to our resource person.
A very good evening to all the honorable state, district presidents and members of various states. I think Professor Srinivasan is justified in taking your time out from the busy court and bringing it here to make this presentation today. We have benefited last year also with your presentation on recent advancements in consumer law, and maybe we'll also look forward for your article that is going to be published tomorrow in the booklet what is being circulated. I take this privilege to thank learned senior advocate Thiru N.L. Raja on behalf of all of the participants. This is the second time we are fortunate to hear from you. And you have touched upon, initially you advocated for separation of ministries, that is consumer affairs and food and public distribution. That need to be separated is what you advocated. And you went on stating how executive initiatives were taken up to tackle the consumer protection system. You started with CCPA, comparing it with MRTP provisions, how MRTP and CCPA has been differentiated. And 1996 Act, we all know that it is Toothless Act, we said, and 2019 Act, with the introduction of CCPA, it is teeth given to that. So, digital world access to CCPA, regulations, guidelines of CCPA, on misleading advertisements, bait ads, free claim ads, and then endorsement by celebrities, greenwashing and environmental clearances. And then you have also supported these things with examples of BP, Coca-Cola, automobile products, coaching sector and dark patents. You highlighted about 13 specific dark patents which are prevailing in e-commerce consumer protection. And you also touched upon Facebook and YouTube, maybe that is called behavioral profiling, which these people influence users to attract to particular content and social media impacts in even political elections and all. You have also touched upon standards, Bureau of Indian Standards, and review how the reviews are made on e-commerce platforms. You said that there are 950 million users of e-commerce these days, and the executive has created e-commerce rules. You also talked about class action suits, and how to get refund for flight charges during COVID time. The CCPS initiative, how the flight charges have been refunded. 1,054 crores have been refunded. And you also talked about the car seatbelt gadget which stops the alarm, how CCPA took initiatives to remove them, and radar detection system in US. Um, Several such examples you have given which have enlightened us. Definitely we have been enlightened with your knowledge and share of your experiences. And you also talked about the digital initiatives, virtual hearings and digital access to consumers, Jago Grahak Jago app, various other initiatives like NCH 2.0, food testing laboratories, smart standards, ISO, IFC. All this have been discussed during your presentation. You have also talked about Tomato Grand Challenge, where the inventors have been awarded the National Consumer Day. Mediation and class action suits are also been discussed. Time discrimination project, OIML certifications, country of origin certifications, e-commerce, standards formatted for sustainable goals, sustainable development goals of UN. All this has been discussed. We are fortunate that we have you in for this program, and you have enlightened all of us. We look forward for future interactions with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request all the participants to go for a tea break and kindly assemble after 10 minutes for the next session.
You may take the shower and
That time, sir, that was yes, I.
இல்ல அந்த ஸ்கிரீன்லயே போட்டுக்கலாம். செக் பண்ணி
எங்க இருக்கீங்களா?
எனக்கு வந்து எனக்கு தேவையில்லாம இதுக்கு வந்து நம்ம வந்து அதனால நாளைக்கு இல்ல நாளைக்கு நான் வந்து பதில் சொல்லுவேன். இப்பதான் செட்ட சொல்லி சொல்ல சொன்னேன். அப்ப தேவையில்லை எதுக்கு வீடியோகிராஃபி வந்து அது ரெக்கார்ட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கும்ல, தேவையில்லை எதுக்கு ரெக்கார்டிங். அதாவது வந்து நீங்க அதுல போடுறதுனா ஆமா
ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே
விஜய்
ஓகே ஆன் பண்ணி தான் போடுது
செகண்ட்ல இருக்கு உங்க லேப்ல இருக்கு
ஓகே
நான் இப்போ இதில் சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிப்பேன்
ஓகே அது ஆன் பண்ணி விட்டா வந்துடும்
இதை சேஞ்ச் பண்ணால் உங்களுக்கு வந்துடும்.
சரி ஓகே